That's much better.
So,
Yeah.
what should we talk about?
Well, the thing that I wanted to talk about with you, because the concept of this program, I guess, or this show, or this series, or chats.
See, you're good at talking. Kind of don't need me.
I definitely need you, because monologuing in a vacuum is boring. So the concept is how art works, and the idea behind it is trying to investigate with creative people how their craft or their art or their creativity works in their life.
Yeah.
But I want to take a very broad view of what art means and what creativity means and what works. You know, it's just basically whatever. It's a format for a discussion that I want to be wide-ranging, but also focus on the key things that people are the most passionate about and how it kind of operates in their lives. So the idea that I had was simply people who make things, create things, do things. I want to know how and why. But the why is often more interesting than the how. So you can talk endlessly with artists about the gear that they use.
Yeah.
And I don't find that interesting. I find it much more interesting when you can kind of get an articulation of why
they do it.
Yeah. And so with you, there's the two elements of creativity that you have. You have a great innate ability to cook, obviously.
Thanks.
But there's also your drawing and your designing and stuff, like your little characters that you've drawn, which I find fascinating, and we can discuss those and where they come from. But finally, I want to also discuss the idea, motherhood and your desire to have a child.
Yeah.
That's an incredible act of creation.
Yeah.
You could call it artistic.
I guess so.
I mean, if you want to think about...
Well, it's two artists collaborating, isn't it? To make the ultimate masterpiece. Unless you fuck it up.
Yeah, unless we botch it somehow.
And let's face it, we will somehow.
I don't know. I just don't think we'll be perfect, but I don't think you can ruin something like this.
Yeah. Nice.
So why don't we start with the baby part first, because
Yeah.
you've just watched a whole lot of One Born Every Minute.
And as soon as this is over, I'm going to continue watching a whole lot of
Yes,
One Born
you
Every
should,
Minute.
as you should.
I can't get enough of it.
So where was the desire? I mean, it might not. I mean, when was the desire to have a child come from?
I think and it's not all women, but I think for most women, and of course I lump myself in with that, you just always want to have children one day. And so from a very young age, I always thought, maybe around 27 was a good age. Why I came to that conclusion, who knows? I suppose you think, you've had fun being a teenager and in your early 20s. You've, hopefully got a job by then and are in a stable relationship. But it just seems like a good age, not too young, not too old. But then 27 came and went, and we're having a great time. It's too early, not ready to have babies. And then, I don't know. The desire's always there. And I think for us, it's, as we've discussed, of course, already, there's this extra layer of amazingness because we couldn't have a baby for so long. And then to be in this position now, and when you struggle to have a baby, you think things like, am I ever going to have that experience of carrying a baby? And mainly I thought about actually being pregnant, carrying a baby, not so much labour, because that freaks you out. But it's just this amazing thing. And I feel very thankful that I'm in this position.
So that you talked a lot about like when you wanted to have a child.
Yeah.
But it seemed like it was just an assumption, like that you something that you wanted to do. Is that something you remember from when you were a child? For example, is it go back then? When does that
maybe
when does that idea that it's going to that it's an inevitability, or that it's like a concrete life goal?
I think always you see your parents having children and you just feel like, this whole circle of life thing.
But I mean, you were the youngest child.
Yeah.
So you just, you looked
But just
at...
being part of a family unit, I guess, is what
Sure.
I mean. Just seeing that that's kind of what happens, and then being straight and, wanting that, not to get into a gender discussion, but for the general population, most of us are straight, most of us have the desire to have children. Nothing wrong with not doing that, but
Of course not.
you just I don't know. It's just always there I guess it's just this biological desire that we all have. Like, you want to have sex, you want to have kids, all the things that we're programmed to do. But then you get in a relationship with someone who you love and you dream about what you would create together. It's this beautiful thing. I'm going to have a little one of you.
Yeah. A little one of us.
A little one of us, yeah.
One of us. One of us.
Assuming they put the right egg in.
Yeah, I think we should be right.
Yeah.
It'd be more likely they'd fuck up the sperm part, right, than the egg. The eggs are that's a bigger cell.
I suppose so, yeah. I guess it would be my egg. Hopefully you're in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
okay. I hadn't thought about that. For sure.
So, I guess I'm sorry to keep at it.
No, please.
But it's so interesting because my experience as a man, as a boy, as a young man, and as a man, was that kids, now that there's one on the way, I'm psyched. It's amazing. But until you wanted it, it wasn't on my list.
And that's interesting because you are much better with children than I am. I've never hung out with kids. I don't know what I'm doing with a child.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe that's why I want one.
Maybe that's why you want one.
Maybe. This will be fun, right? And you're like, I know what it's like. It's going to be.
I definitely know what kids are like. Yeah, I worked with kids professionally, closely for quite a while.
Yeah.
In different guises.
Yeah.
I was coaching debating straight out of high school. So I was coaching kids literally a year younger than me. And I suppose the interesting thing that I realised early when it came to the idea of mentoring and coaching and teaching and being like a role model is how arbitrary it was immediately. Like, when I was teaching kids that are about a year younger than me, because I was young for my year, so they might even be close to my age, really. It might be a few months, 3 to 6 months younger than me. And just because I'd crossed this threshold of high school, not high school, uni, not uni.
You were instantly an authority.
I was instantly, yeah.
Yeah.
And I had done, I had the skills in terms of the ability to, do the thing. So I knew how to debate, and I'd been coached enough to know what was helpful and what I could do. But I immediately realised there's a arbitrariness to being the authority figure.
Yeah.
And that, to a large degree...
Take a look at any shitty parent. I mean, anyone can have a kid. Working in drug and alcohol, that's bleedingly obvious. You have horrible situations. Maybe that's part of the desire as well, because I know that I would be good at it. I really feel like we would be wonderful parents.
Yeah.
So there is just the biological desire, for me anyway. But then on top of that, you witness things around you, and it's not like, I'm going to be better than you, but you just see such shit examples, and you just think, those poor kids. I'm looking forward to, fostering a little human to be a functioning adult on their own. This will be great.
It will be great. Yeah.
Sorry, I started fidgeting with your mic stand there.
That's okay. That's fine. It's just, I can hear all the impacts. So it's it just seems like an innate thing.
Yeah.
It's a difference between
it's like,
the sexes.
I can't really explain it. It's not something that happens on a particular day and you have this, epiphany that you want to have children. It's just kind of always there. And then as you move through the stages of time, it becomes this thing that you might feel like you're actually really ready for.
Is there a thing, just again, curiously, is there a thing where you think that playing with is there some sense in which Do you feel at all that there's a sense in which playing with dolls and cultivating that desire, do you feel like that's partly socially constructed? As in, I'm not saying, like that your desires to have kids are, manipulated into you. But I'm interested in, there's this whole thing with culture about how much is culture inculcated in you and how much is it sort of a natural expression that's found form. Yeah. Well, and so do you think that playing with dolls and that kind of stuff has an impact, or do you think that it's, again, maybe this is hard to describe from the inside, but is playing with dolls something that you would have done and wanted to do naturally, or do you think it's something that kind of, helps habituate these desires? I'm curious. I have no idea.
I don't know either. I think it's get me back in the head of me as a 3-year-old, I guess. I don't know. I think it's something that if you have a wide variety of toys available to you, kids are going to migrate to whatever they really want to play with. Yeah. And that will either be dolls or a train set or whatever. And I guess, I don't know, clutching at straws here, I suppose part of that is, that you see that is a baby and you recognise that and you kind of have this nurturing feeling as girls or boys. But I don't really remember having baby dolls as a kid. I can't really think of having those. I had a Barbie doll when I was older, and that's not exactly reminiscent of a little baby that you look after. That creates other issues.
Is there a pregnant Barbie?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Her name's Kelly or something.
Oh, whoa. So it's not Barbie doesn't get pregnant, it's her friend.
Or maybe Kelly's her little sister. Maybe Barbie is pregnant. I don't know.
Does Barbie, again, pure ignorance here.
It's definitely a pregnant Barbie doll.
Sure.
I never had it.
But it's her. That's the interesting thing.
I think so.
So Barbie herself can get pregnant.
Yeah.
Because I would just think that would
without genitalia. Can you believe it?
That would be extra fascinating if Barbie herself didn't get pregnant, but like all the characters around her.
She can be a mermaid and she can drive a pink car, but she can't get pregnant.
Okay, so I think we've dealt with the desire for pregnancy and the desire to create life. So that's the kind of, that's the why part, or I don't know. I guess the next question is the how of the creative part. Birds and the bees. Beyond the birds and the bees, once the birds and the bees have done it, doggy style, or whatever, birdie style. How does it feel, and what was it like? Because we tried for a while, a long time, and what was it like to learn? What's that whole sensation and that process feel like? What's it feel like from the inside? Because I feel very much like an observer of the process, and it's magical and beautiful, and I love kicking, and it's always that thing where you're like, look, and I'm like, I was never looking the second when you want me to, and then she went back, and then the bump is,
still
our little babe isn't behaving. So what's it like from the inside?
Well, from the inside, it's like
it's not been that the whole time.
No.
What's it like on the inside from the moment you found out, I guess? What's that feel like?
Well, it's emotional. It's very surreal. It's hard to explain. And trying for so long, we found out via a phone call from a nurse at the IVF place. And it was a bit frustrating because they do you were on that call, they do the whole, and how are you, and blah, 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 and let's ask some other questions that have nothing to do with why we're on the phone here. And I just remember thinking, just tell us yes or no. But I very much, for the first 12 odd weeks just had in my head that anything could happen and that there's no guarantees here, so don't get too excited. So I remember just wanting the answer, whether it was yes or no, because so many times you don't get pregnant via IVF first round. So I just wanted that information to then be able to do whatever needed to happen next. And so to hear yes was great. And then, letting your parents know is lovely. Your mum's really excited. All that sort of stuff is really pleasant. It's obviously my family stuff, which is not so pleasant, but it is what it is. And then and then you feel like shit for 10, 12 weeks. But the whole time is just, it's lovely because you know why you feel crappy. And, you throw up in the morning and then you just get on with your day after it happens. You feel sick overnight.
As I've observed many times.
Yeah.
That like whole chunder in the morning, trundle off to work. It's just not something that blokes would get amongst.
But you feel okay after that. And like in the moment, throwing up is never pleasant until you feel really crappy for about 5 minutes. But then when you feel awful in that moment, it's like, oh my God, this sucks. But then as soon as that's over and it's very short-lived, you just think, yeah, that's a sign that I'm pregnant. All right, I feel better now. Let's go do whatever needs to be done. My issue is that I have no energy to do what needs to be done these days, so I just lie down, make food occasionally and hang out. But it's the most, all I can say is it's the most surreal and amazing experience ever. And I heard from one woman, she said one thing that I wasn't prepared for because people don't discuss it. But she said, when I gave birth to my son, I really missed having a bump because you're so connected and you're, especially later on because it's so heavy, you're just touching it all the time and baby's, kicking you around. So it feels comforting to put your hand on your belly when there's a little human in there trying to push your stomach out. It's nice to push against that a little bit. Go, all right, we got it.
Yeah, stay contained.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, it's nice and it's going to be over soon, so I'm just trying to enjoy it while it's happening because I don't want to miss it. I just want to appreciate it while I've got a big belly. I love my belly. I don't know how to explain what it's like being pregnant. It's amazing. I'm so happy. I feel a little emotional. It's amazing. It really is. And I love you.
That's very sweet. Well, I don't know if we can compete. I probably shouldn't have started with the pregnancy stuff because it's emotionally the most...
Let's talk about dumplings.
Yeah, it's emotionally the most
From
rich.
one bump to another.
So you've been, obviously, if anyone's familiar with Mama Smoke and Annie Smoko, if they've met you, they would know that
food.
You're a feeder. And again, when did that start?
I always wanted to cook, and I started off when I was about 13 with desserts. Desserts, as a early teenager, that's what I was really into. I wanted sugary things. And so there were certain things that I wanted to eat, so I wanted to make what I wanted to eat, whereas the idea of making a savoury meal, I had no desire to do that. And I remember as a kid thinking, am I ever going to want to cook a main meal, like an actual meal that's going to sustain me? Because all I want is, I made things like, coconut ice, cupcakes, a whole lot of baked goods. And I just really enjoyed doing it. I had a very strict mother who wouldn't, the kitchen had to be spotless, which is fair enough. But it was just fun to be in there. And I remember my fondest memory as a kid is when I once made gingerbread men, and I had them in the oven and I left them, 5-10 minutes too long, and they all just burnt. They got so black. They were inedible. And I pulled them out, and I'm a big crier, so I started crying because I couldn't believe that I'd burnt my beautiful gingerbread men. And my dad, who was home at the time, saw that I was crying, and so he ate one, and he was like, no, they're really, really good. They're really good. And I knew that he was lying and just trying to be supportive, but it's a really nice memory of cooking. Now, hopefully, people are supportive of me because it tastes good, and not because not because they like me and they don't want me to cry.
Yeah, I don't think that's the basis of your success.
No, I don't think so. I would hope not.
Threatening to cry.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's really good, Annie, I promise.
That'd be a hard business to scale.
I think so, yeah. I'd have to be running it the whole time. This is a one-man show. But I don't know, I started off making sweet stuff and then I progressed from there. I think I made some dinners when not many though, but I made some dinners when I was still living at home. And then just moving out with you, you know, you have to fend for yourself. And I really enjoyed cooking. Made lots of roasts when I was eating meat. We had some great roast dinners. Never hurts with a glass of wine or 3. And then it's just been this progression into veganism. Now I don't do anything that's not vegan. But in terms of creativity, I find that way more creative and way more enjoyable because I didn't stop eating meat and dairy because I didn't like it. I love that stuff. And so I still desire having meaty things, and I especially still desire having creamy, cheesy, eggy things. And so trying to make that happen without using anything from an animal is you have to use your brain more. It is more creative, and if you get a good result, which doesn't always happen, it's so much more satisfying than just buying ricotta and making a delicious dish. Making your own ricotta from scratch that doesn't have any cow in it is so satisfying. So now it's even more joyous and enjoyable for me. And with all of the shtick around, vegans and everything that people say about vegans, I love feeding people without an agenda, but just feeding people and having them enjoy something that happens to be vegan, and they don't need to know that it is to enjoy it. There's a lot of shit food out there.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
It sure does. It's an admirable goal.
And I feel lucky. I feel very lucky that one of the things I enjoy doing most is something that's actually necessary for survival. You know, you have to eat to live. So to enjoy cooking as much as I do and enjoy eating, I enjoy eating more than I enjoy cooking. It's so great to have that as, it's like getting kicks out of breathing. Yeah. It's like, well, you got to do it anyway. Isn't it nice that I love it so much? I love this breathing thing. Yeah.
Well, I've commented often that that's what makes me jealous of your craft, is that, you know, you could easily, in terms of the Maslow hierarchy of needs or whatever. Yeah. Yeah. Nobody died from not hearing music.
But it might have been much more miserable.
Yeah, no, sure. But it's like, it's not life-threatening. If you're stuck on a desert island, the lack of music is not going to kill you.
Well, I see your point, but with the studies that they're doing in ICUs...
No, sure.
With,
it's definitely
music therapy. It can be life-saving.
It's definitely an important part of culture.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, for example, music can be used to, you know, there's those amazing stories of people with extreme comas and Parkinson's and stuff, like reanimating when they know, when they hear music, dementia.
Yeah.
When they hear those, when they hear familiar songs.
At
and
my
they
dinner parties. You've got to have music at the dinner party.
Sure. I'm just saying, the thing that might bring you out of a coma, if but it's not the kind of thing that, it's not going to save you.
Of course, I know. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's it can do some miraculous things for sure. But if that person stopped eating, they're dead. Like there's no way that you can be in a coma and not be. There's no way to tube feed someone music. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you can keep people alive with food and drink. It's very, very important.
Well, if you're running a food business and you're out long enough, people are going to get hungry. Whereas people can go about the day without music.
For sure. If you don't have, it's completely optional. Like if you don't have the disposable income for it. And that's the thing. I've said to people quite often, when it comes to making money from music, if you want to give people what they want, if there's, you know, a certain market for certain types of music, performances, recordings. But if what you want to give is a particular thing, then you have to set the bar at free. You know, you can't expect people to pay for just the thing that you want to do.
Well, I think the part of the reason my running a small restaurant went so well is because I had that, not a groundswell, but I had a little bit of support, and people knew me from the community from doing spaceport events. The warehouse nights that you ran and I did food for, they were so much fun. But for the first year, you know, I was paying for the food and booze, and so were you. And so I wasn't asking people to pay for my food without knowing about it. And so then I just became known as this person who did decent vegan food. And so then I got asked to do other things, and more and more people knew about me. So when it got to the point where I decided, I'm going to start a restaurant and see what happens, you know, people that came knew me and had eaten my food already and had gotten that investment from something that I and you paid for, rather than just asking people up front.
But what I was saying when I said, if you want to do the thing you do, you start, you know, you have to begin with free, and if you get paid, it's a bonus.
Yeah.
And that's amazing. And then you can go from there.
Yeah.
But if nobody wanted 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor would probably still be doing something like it, but it just wouldn't be as well known. The point is, I think for certain types of creativity, just the intrinsic rewards are so strong that you're going to do it regardless for whether there's like a market for it or not. But if you need to pay the rent, you can go hell for leather and you can promote the shit out of your stuff. But, you know, unless you get the particular like alignment of people backing you and distribution and whatever, it might not ever happen. But if you're doing things independently, beginning with a passion and trying to find a way for it to express it that people can access is a beautiful...
Yeah.
It's a beautiful process.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're giving me a lot of credit for Spaceport, but I don't think Spaceport would have gone as well as it would without the element of the combination of food and stuff, because it would have just been another warehouse party.
Yeah, no, it was a great combo.
Where people...
need to run another one of those.
Yeah. Yeah, they're beautiful things, and people love them because it was like a real synthesis of our passions. Because you love doing food so much, you're prepared to feed like 100, 150, 200 people.
And pay for it.
And not be richly rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And I certainly wasn't either for the legwork that I did in promo and booking and all that sort of stuff. But I just loved those nights. And when one of my favourite things when people would say, oh man, I'd be working the door at Spaceport and I might look a bit tired or something, and someone's going like, are you having a good night? And it's like, well, I wanted to see these 4 acts in this place. And there's no other, I don't think that it would happen. Like it's quite rare that I see like a warehouse party lineup that I'll go to many warehouse parties.
Yeah.
But with a specific focus.
You go for the people or with people.
With a specific focus on the acts, like the live music, not DJs specifically. Because, I just can't. DJs, I don't know, it's just not.
A whole night of that is just, I find that really boring. No offense to any DJs out there.
No,
but
unless
also
it's Sammy.
Oh fuck, he's the best. But because he plays a lot of songs that have words in them, whereas most DJs it's just like doofy stuff where you're like, well, I clearly need to be on drugs for this, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you don't want to spend every warehouse. Like I love that, but you don't want to spend every warehouse going, I need to be in a different headspace to be okay with what's happening.
My theory is always that if it's not good sober, it's not good.
Yeah.
I mean. And doof music again. If you're mashed, it's great. But if you're on the sodas, and you're just hearing the unts, it doesn't speak to me. No judgment to people who love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just not me. And
we just need Sammy DJing wherever we go
perpetually.
Yeah. But what you say? What can I just go back to your brief comment on paying the rent? I feel so strongly when it's something that you're passionate about, music, food, whatever it is, that you can't. It's so hard mentally to just dive into. I'm going from nothing to I need to pay rent next week with what I'm doing, because it just changes your whole mindset about what you're doing, and it adds this extra level of pressure. And I don't think I could do it. I admire people who do that, like Alice, and you could list dozens of people that we know who've quit work
and gone hell for leather
and
at
just
their
gone,
craft.
gone hell for
absolutely.
leather and taken massive risk. I think part of it is I don't have the balls to do that, but also I enjoy the job I do. It's a very secure job, and I really like having a certain amount of money to come home and just spend it on whatever I want, knowing that every week I can pay rent and I've got, you know, a couple $100 to spend on groceries to be creative with.
Well, let's see how that goes with a human baby.
Oh, things are
outside your
going to
body.
have to change, yeah. Money coming in, not so much anymore. But
Well, that's actually, this discussion is kind of also square in the concept of what I want to discuss this show, which is like how art works. Like, how does it work in your life?
But you're about to say, how are we going to pay the rent?
Yeah, how are we going to pay the rent? This is the podcast. Dave and Annie, how we pay the rent? How we pay in the mortgage? How we pay
Annie
the
is
rent?
no longer contributing to the household expenses.
Yeah, so that makes me feel weird and you know, like I definitely feel that kind of anxiety where I feel like the stuff, like the music that I'm making is you know, I'm proud of it, and I think it's good. I think it has a place in the marketplace or whatever, and I just, you know, haven't put it out there properly yet and that kind of stuff. And I definitely feel like I would love to have a red hot go at making a living doing it.
Yeah.
And I think that if certain things were to go right, that it
Could
could.
Yeah.
You know, I feel, again, this is not, there's like, I don't know, you need to have some level of ego as a muso to just even do the thing. And a certain level of like hopefulness, because there's so many incredibly talented people who, you know, crash and burn and don't get to do the thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, without trying to sound like I'm full of hubris, there are people who make good living doing music, and I feel like I have similar skills.
The ability to do it, yeah.
Yeah, similar abilities in terms of songwriting and performing and that kind of stuff. But the difference is I haven't spent the last 15 years only doing that, and they have. The people who have, you know, most of the people who are successful have just done that.
And there's
And
loads
so-
of people who are successful just from posting something on YouTube that then has, you know, lots of views and people go, whoa, what's happening here? That guy that we saw recently, the young kid who he had a gig that we went to, and he does all the layered
right. Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
more
yeah,
classical, is it classical style?
Jacob Collier.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a prodigy. Like,
he's a freak of nature, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
I know. I mean, again, I'm not full of delusion to say that he's in a completely different league. Like, there's I don't think there's. Yeah, he's insane.
No, but he's just, I don't think he's in a different league. He's just doing something different in the musical realm. You know, there's so much, there's all these different genres, there's all sorts of things people are into.
His raw talent is undeniable.
His music, his
like
instrument
his
playing ability
his
is
vocal,
crazy, yeah.
his vocal range and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't want to. That's not the particular horn of myself that I can. You know, I think like I think I can write really good songs.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I'm. I think that's my main. That's my main squeeze. It's my main thing. But yeah, I mean, it's, you know, rather than getting down in the doldrums of self-indulgence and being like, well, what if it doesn't happen? It's more like, how can I find a way? And I guess this studio and this program, I guess, is a way of trying to find a way to sustainably be able to share my stuff, my ideas, my thoughts, because the way that I think about the world goes way beyond just writing songs. You know, I think about the world in a particular way.
For you.
Yeah, and so having a space within the house that's still connected to the house, but ever so slightly separated.
Yeah.
By a wall and a garage door.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels like this is the start of a way to be able to have a place, time and a place to be able to express myself properly. And now finally with fucking fast decently fast internet, jeez.
Are you finding it good?
It's all right.
Yeah.
It's going okay.
Yeah.
It's well, I mean, it's it's not.
I haven't noticed a difference in speed, which is fine because the speed was fine. But
No, it's definitely faster in terms
Right.
of the uploading. Like
Yeah.
uploading is a huge deal.
Yeah, yeah.
If you're actually if you're doing
But I've
things
not had
like
it
streaming.
cut out and my phone constantly go to 4G, which is nice. I've always
Yeah.
got Wi-Fi now.
Yeah. No, it's definitely it's definitely like a significant improvement.
But I think you just need to maybe. I mean, me. I work very well when I have a structure. Like going to work is a good thing for me. I think I'd struggle working from home. So I say this because it would work for me, but maybe for you something like, not just I need to post stuff to a YouTube channel or whatever, but 10 to 12 is when I record something and put it up. I do that.
Yeah, unfortunately
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
That's hard because that's at least during the work week.
Yeah.
My working schedule is totally flexible.
But on days that you have off is what I mean.
I don't. They're fewer and further between.
Yeah.
These days. Anyway.
All right. This is
Anyway, this is not the give Dave
Pep
advice. Pep talk about his art.
Gotta get your stuff out there, man.
Yeah, that's all right. It's coming. don't you worry. Well, I don't know. I feel like that might be. There's no necessary any. This is all just a test. But
Yeah.
It's lovely. I'm really glad that we've had this chat, and I feel like it's not going to be the last by a long stretch. So, do you want to leave it there?
Sure.
And we'll go and I'd like another scotch and enjoy this lovely afternoon
I'm
outside.
going to make us dumplings.
Oh my god,
Do you want dumplings for dinner?
I sure do.
I'm going to make shumai,
It's great.
just so you know.
Thank you.
So baby in 6 weeks, and next time we'll be here and I'll be holding a baby, or you'll be holding a baby.
That's insane.
Isn't it? It's crazy.
Totally sensible.
Yeah.
All right. Love you, bub. Thank you
Love
so
ya.
much.
Thank
Canny
you.
Smoker, ladies and gentlemen.
Whoop, whoop.
Well, I think it's only us that are ever going to listen to this.
Right, I
But
think
anyway.
so too. But it's okay. It's a good test for you.
It was. All right.
Is everything sounding good?
Yeah, it's been sounding great. I've just kind of had in the back of my mind that I hope it's still.
Oh, recording.
Yeah. Anyway. All right.
Okay, bye. Bye.
That's how art works, everybody.
Yeah.
Episode 1.